Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's good to be alive this morning. I am coming to you on a Saturday morning, bringing you a special edition of Coffee Time Live. The reason we're doing this special edition, it's Juneteenth. There are some historical facts that we're going to review today. There are also some things I believe we need to celebrate. And when I say need to celebrate, you need to understand the significance of the day and not allow American history to rob you of this day. A part of our history, a part of America. America is a combination of people from various lands. And if we're going to be true, we're going to be honest, we're going to be fair about our history, there's no way we can do that and not tell the whole story. So here's what I need you to do for me. I need you to grab a friend, grab a neighbor, text a few friends. I promise you. Listen, I'm going to say it again. I promise you. There's some things that we're going to share right now. I've got some guests that are going to be on. There's some things we're getting ready to share that you probably didn't know you need to be reminded of. But most importantly, today is a very important day in the life of Black America. Here's what I need you to do. Invite somebody, share, and we'll be back right after this.
Coffee time. Yeah, this ain't your average cup of joe. Listen, I need it in the morning, I need it at night. He always keeps it brewing, he always keeps it tight. Just a little sip, it'll get you right. Terrence Pickett always be the one that gets the coffee right. The coffee's right, the coffee's right in my life. It's never a wrong time over crime to get what's yours and to get what's mine. Come on. Coffee time in my life. Coffee time feels so right. I need a little sugar, put it in my cup. Can you serve it, Terrence? Let me know what's up. And at the end of the show, you can brew another pot. Just make sure you make it hot. Come on. Time in my life. Coffee time feels so right. I need a little sugar, put it in my cup. Can you serve it, Terrence? Let me know what's up. And at the end of the show, you can brew another pot. Just make sure you make it hot. Come on.
Good morning. We are back. Do me a favor. Invite somebody. Share. We have a wonderful show that we have lined up for you on this morning, on this beautiful Saturday morning, which is Juneteenth. It's a great day to be alive. It's a great day to have your right mind. And there are so many things that we are going to cover this morning in regards to Juneteenth. But I told you we had some special guests. Don't you go anywhere. Invite somebody, share. This is going to be a coffee time that you've never seen before. Stay right there.
I like this part right there. Come on. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought. on. Till victory is won. Now we add a little something to it. Just to encourage you. We're going to take you to church right now. Let's go. We'll keep marching, fighting till the victory is won. To all my brothers out there. Hold your head up, brother, till the victory is won. To all my sisters in the struggle. Keep believing, sisters, till the victory is won. Till that day. Till that day comes. Hey. Let us march on. To victory. Till victory is won.
For many Black Americans, Independence Day is not July 4th. It's June 19th, or Juneteenth, the day the last enslaved people in the U.S. were told they were free. This year's will be feted with a little more urgency, after George Floyd's death reignited Black Americans' fight for equality. President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863. But 2.5 long years passed between enslaved Texans being declared free to them being told about it. News traveled pretty slowly in the 19th century, and even slower for slave owners trying to avoid it. During the Civil War, they fled west, taking thousands of enslaved people far from where Union forces could liberate them. But on June 19th, 1865, General Gordon Granger stood on the balcony of a home made with slave labor to read an order that gave an absolute equality of rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves. But absolute equality has been eluding Black Americans ever since. Although Juneteenth celebrations would pop up outside of Texas, a century of fighting to survive lynching, segregation, and Jim Crow laws tempered the anniversary's national momentum. After Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination in 1968, his Poor People's Campaign settled on June 19th for its Solidarity Day rally, which symbolically connected the fight against poverty to enslaved ancestors. Since then, states have slowly come around to officially recognizing the holiday. Texas fittingly was the first in 1980, marking a day that late state Representative Al Edwards said triggered a series of events that defines the challenges and responsibilities of successive generations. New Hampshire became the latest state last year. But this is still the country that killed Breonna Taylor, Rayshard Brooks, and George Floyd. A country whose president called Americans protesting the injustice thugs. The distance from true equality may be what kept Black Americans from celebrating Juneteenth. But today, the journey toward closing that gap is exactly what makes it meaningful. This year, it comes as protesters demand that institutions who claim to protect Black Americans don't target them, that the companies who market to Black Americans, including ours, also hire them and pay them fairly, and that the system that's made Black Americans more vulnerable to COVID-19 and the economic crisis is broken. Over 150 years later, Juneteenth is still about how long absolute equality takes to arrive.
Black Lives Matter.
And those are some historical facts where we have another video that I'm going to play. But before I do that, I want to make mention to you the seriousness of Juneteenth, as well as the audacity that any human anywhere could raise themselves up in arrogance and pride and own and control the free will that God has given all mankind. Think about that. Think about the evil that is being perpetuated when you rise yourself above any group of people because of your belief system, your cistern of belief. You raise yourself up above and consider yourself better because of the color of their skin. The arrogance, the evil, the demonic nature that rest in humans everywhere around the world to segregate themselves from a group of people because they believe they are better by the complexion of their skin. Stay right here.
The 155th anniversary of Jubilee demands more than celebration. We must meet it with imagination and action. Around the globe, people clamor for an end to the racist, violent, inherently biased systems that wound or steal our lives. Our deep obligation is to create a world fueled by justice, steeped in equality. This Juneteenth requires an acknowledgement of society's failures, remedied by nothing less than wholesale change. In action, this means we cannot accept when voter suppression keeps parents and their children in line for hours. We reject a false dichotomy of either reforming public safety or transforming public priorities. We do both. We decry the practices of those who profit from Black misery, root out their international blight, and build new systems that finally allow all people to thrive. This Juneteenth, I dream of the freedom of Tony McDade to live openly and be loved, the freedom of Ahmaud Arbery to jog on a spring day, the freedom of Breonna Taylor to sleep safely in her own home, the freedom of George Floyd to return home. I envision a world where we look to the community to help neighbors like Rayshard Brooks. There is no going back, America. Our reckoning has come.
Our reckoning has come, and there's a responsibility that all of us have in order to ensure, enforce, and keep in place our freedom. We have to be reminded of where we're from. One of the greatest evils that this society, this United States, had done to African Americans is robbing them of their history. When you don't know where you're from, we were robbed of our history. We were robbed of our culture. We don't have complete facts. Things are still unveiling as we live. We don't have complete facts of where we're from. So how can we determine where we are? Understanding where you are presents facts for where we are going. And one of the things that America has tried to do is they've tried to erase the evil that was done to people of color on this soil. Now, here's the problem that I have with trying to erase that history. If we're going to celebrate the Declaration of Independence, and we're going to celebrate how we won our war, how we were declared to be an independent nation, we cannot overlook the historical facts of what got us there. During the times of the Civil War, let me tell you why Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. It was not a move of consciousness. It was not that the America had gotten to a place of conviction where they were ready to recognize that they had abused and abolished the rights of Black folk. That is not what happened. During the times of the Civil War, when a lot of blood was shed from America and other countries, America sent Black folks to war, put them on the front line, did not give them artillery. They did not give us guns. They did not give us things that we would need to fight in that war. They stuck us out there. And the creative nature of godly influence overshadowed Black folk, and we went into the woods and built our own weapons. And because we won the war by making our own weapons, the British saw how powerful we were, how creative we were, and how we had won those battles. And as a result of that, they offered us freedom. They said, if you would do the same thing for us in winning these wars, in exchange of winning the war, fighting for us, we will give you freedom. And it was then that America opened her eyes and saw how valuable Blacks were to her native land. And they offered us freedom. Anytime freedom is given And it's not from a place of consciousness. It's done from a place of manipulation. America felt that they could manipulate the system in keeping black people abased and abound by offering them freedom. Here's what they didn't count on. They gave America freedom, but there was no way for the word to get out that we had been made free. Other people from other countries come to America and they give them money. They give them financial restitution. They give them grants, money, so that they can live, so they can start their life. They didn't do that for African Americans. But what they failed to realize is that the same God that led us through the war, the same God that was with us as we won the war, the same God that was with us as we died for this country, that same God would see us all the way through. We don't understand all the things that God has allowed to happen to black people on this foreign soil called America. But we do understand that God is always there. And no matter how bad it has gotten, no matter what the world has given, no matter what America has suggested, God has shown himself faithful to America. And because of his faithfulness, we won those wars and we're going to win this one. It's unfortunate, it's unfair that black folk are dealt with such treachery, such demonizing, such belittling, condescending nature. It's unfair. It's unfair that we don't get the same opportunities as other cultures in this country. It's unfair that Asians can come to America, be given money to build and to start new businesses through grants, but they won't even grant African Americans who were already here, who helped build America, who helped create America, who 38 to 39% of everything that is created in this country was created at the hands of black people. Another 63% was created with black people. So we partnered. We built this country. We fought for our own freedom and the freedom of those that are here. And still, we are fighting for equality. Here's the thing. I don't understand everything. There's a lot in our history that causes me great sadness, great grief. But here's what I do know. I believe in the Bible. I don't believe in your religious politics. No, I don't believe in some of the teachings that you offer that builds you and condemns others. I don't believe in the total scope and scheme of the American church. But I do believe in ecclesia. Ecclesia has nothing to do with the building. Ecclesia is the called out one. These are the people that Jesus died for, and he gave freedom. And because I believe in ecclesia, the God that called them out, I also believe in the God that also sees us through. And I believe that in the same way that we've overcome every barrier, everything that has been thrown at us, I believe that this same God is going to carry us on. Here's what you need to do on this day. You ought to be grateful to God for Juneteenth. I hate to say it, but if African Americans, you need to know that July the 4th is not your Independence Day. In fact, July 4th has nothing to do with you. You are not even considered to be 100% human in this country. According to your Constitution, you are a third human. So they've never done anything in America to appreciate black folk. So it's very important that black people understand if you're going to get ahead and you're going to be great, it's not going to come through America. You need an extra hand. You need the hand of grace. You need the hand of favor. You need the hand of God. You need to understand your past, which tells you where you are in your present and gives you hope for your future. Here's what I believe. I believe that the same grace that was shed at Calvary through the blood, that same power that lives in us and indwell in us, gives us creative ideas and suggestions for us to unveil the deeper things that God has placed inside of us. And as we release these things that he's placed inside of us, it causes his name to be known, and it causes promotion and elevation for us. We don't need more religious rhetoric. We don't even need to be speaking in tongues, prophesying, laying hands on each other alone. We need a plan. We need visionaries to step forth. We need people who are not afraid to reveal the things that God has placed in their heart to establish in the earth. As we establish these dreams, these creative and witty ideas that God has placed inside of us, we begin to occupy this land and build future generations of wealth. You don't believe that God is into wealth? Let me share a scripture with you. It says that a wise man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Well, how can you leave an inheritance to your grandchildren if you've not started to inherit what's rightfully yours now? You can't count on your country, for it's built on bias, negative, racial injustice. But you can trust in the name of the Lord. They that know their God will be great and do exploits. What does that mean? The more you get to know him, the more he reveals himself to you, the more you will begin to give birth to new businesses. You give birth to new ideas. You give birth to new talents that will cause your name to esteem or be esteemed highly in the earth. And it's that platform that is built off the gifts that God has placed on the inside of you that will cause your name to be noticed by those that are around you. It will cause the kingdom to come together, enlarge, and it will cause you to be promoted in our world. What Juneteenth really is about? It's about our second day of freedom. Our first day of freedom can be found in Isaiah, the 53rd chapter, where it says, he was wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. We got free from sin, and it was not God's will for us to be in bondage at the hands of white folk. Oh no, that was the trick of the enemy. It was arrogance. It was the pride and stinking arrogance of white people who believed that they were better than us, who would build a constitution and write in it that all men are created equal, and turn around and go home to their slaves. There's a lot of damage that's been done in America. If we're to go on with force, there has to be reconciliation. Reconciliation requires reparations. You cannot reconcile and ask for forgiveness without paying reparations. It's a part of our heritage. I say to America today and always, if true repentance begins with acknowledgement, because the scripture says in order to even receive salvation, there has to be confession. Then attached to your confession for forgiveness is restitution and reparations. You owe us. We built this country. We did everything possible to keep this country together. This has been a special segment of Coffee Time. For those of you that like to support what we do, I want you to be reminded today and in the days to come that our freedom comes from God. We cannot wait for a man to release us to do the things that God has placed inside of us. If you wait for a man to confirm what God has already done as it relates to your freedom, up. Listen to the dream that have been placed inside of you and the dream giver that has called you. And it's time for you to move forward. That's Coffee Time for this Juneteenth. Go out, celebrate, be happy, and remember the God that made you free. Without your ears, I don't have a voice. You make this possible. If you would like to support what we do, the Cash App is on the screen. Here's what I need you to do today. I need you to remember we were born to win, predestined to succeed. There's nothing that can happen to you today that the wisdom on the inside is not able to handle. You got to calm down, slow down, use emotional intelligence, and let wisdom speak. When wisdom speak, you will always win. Go have a fruitful and productive day. Happy Juneteenth, my sisters and brothers. I love you. We've come this far by faith, and I promise you, greater is ahead.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky. Let it resound. Let it resound. Loud as the rolling sea. I like this part right here. Come on. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Now we add a little something to it, just to encourage you. We're gonna take you to church later. Let's go! We'll keep marching right until the victory is won. To all my brothers out there, hold your head up, brother, till the victory is won. To all my sisters in the struggle, keep believing, sister, till the victory is won. Till that day, hey, let us march on to victory. Till victory is won.
Coffee time. Yeah, this ain't your average cup of joe. Listen, I need it in the morning, I need it at night. He always keeps it brewing, he always